Have you ever felt a shiver down your spine when a black cat crosses your path, or hesitated before walking under a ladder, sensing an unseen force whispering caution? For millennia, across every corner of the globe, humanity has woven a tapestry of superstition, rituals and omens, born from our deepest fears and wildest hopes. From ancient firelit villages to modern neon-lit cities, these beliefs bind us to the unknown, guiding our steps through a world where shadows hold secrets. Join us as we unravel the mysteries of superstition, a timeless dance with fate that still echoes in our hearts today. The whisper of the unknown. Imagine walking alone at night. The moon hangs low over silent streets, and a sudden chill brushes your neck as you pause in your tracks. The soft rustling of leaves, the distant echo of footsteps, and the whisper of an unseen presence merge to create an atmosphere where every sound seems a portent of something unknown. For thousands of years, across the farthest reaches of the earth, mankind has sought to explain the inexplicable. Superstition is the language we speak when reason fails, a tapestry woven from our fears, hopes, and the mysteries of existence. It has been passed down in hushed tones from one generation to the next, transforming everyday events into sacred omens. In the flicker of candlelight and the measured incantations of age-old rituals, we can sense the weight of traditions that blend fact and fantasy into a seamless lore of the unknown. Medieval Europe, the shadows of faith and fear. In medieval lands where the shadow of the church loomed large over everyday life, superstition was both protector and predator. Streets lit only by flickering torches gave way to centuries-old beliefs, where a black cat crossing your path was not merely a stray animal, but a sinister harbinger of ill fortune. In those times when the lines between the seen and the unseen blurred, the very presence of a dark-furred feline could incite terror. Entire communities would gather to condemn what they perceived as a sign from the devil, and women whose lives were already intertwined with folklore were quickly branded as witches. The accusations were as swift as they were fatal. Whispers in dark corners, half-heard conversations and anxious glances led to trials and executions. The phenomenon was both a method of control and a manifestation of deep-seated fear, where a broken mirror was not a mere accident, but the fracturing of one's soul, dooming its owner to 7 years of misfortune. Walking under a ladder was more than bad luck. It was a violation of sacred geometry, a disruption of the spiritual triangle that connected heaven and earth. Spilling a pinch of salt was an act that insulted the divine, while the reflex of tossing it over the left shoulder was a small but earnest effort to blind the lurking embodiment of evil. Omens and oracles in the medieval mind. This fear of the unseen was not confined to the uneducated or the devout. It permeated every level of society. Knights, preparing for battle, would consult seers to interpret the flight of birds or the patterns of entrails, believing these omens could foretell victory or defeat. A raven circling a battlefield was not just a bird, but a messenger of death, its dark wings casting a shadow over the brave. In the courts of kings, astrologers held sway, their charts mapping the movements of stars to guide decisions of war, marriage, or succession. Even the most rational minds of the era, scholars cloaked in the trappings of early science, would pause at the sight of a comet blazing across the sky, fearing it heralded plague, famine, or the fall of empires. The medieval world was a place where the boundary between the natural and supernatural was porous, and every event, no matter how small, could be imbued with cosmic significance. Protective rituals of the countryside. The rituals of medieval Europe extended beyond the ominous to the protective. In rural hamlets, farmers would bury iron nails at the corners of their fields, believing they could ward off malevolent spirits that might blight their crops. During the harvest, certain stalks of wheat were left uncut, offered as a tribute to the spirits of the land to ensure future bounty. In coastal villages, fishermen would carve runes into their boats, invoking the protection of sea deities against storms and shipwrecks. These acts, though steeped in superstition, were not mere folly. They were practical responses to a world where survival was uncertain, and the forces of nature seemed to pulse with divine or diabolical intent. The evil eye, a global curse. As the religious fervor of Europe spread its influence, so too did the belief in the curse of the evil eye, a gaze so potent it could bring sickness to an infant or ruin a harvest. In bustling marketplaces and quiet villages alike, people wore amulets and talismans, small tokens charged with protective magic, in the form of blue beads, intricate pendants, or even crudely fashioned charms. These objects were not mere superstition, but lifelines against an unseen danger. Within the solemn walls of ancient churches, relics of saints, bones, garments, fragments of the cross were venerated with almost miraculous devotion. Pilgrims journeyed great distances, driven by a desperate hope that these holy remains might shield them from misfortune or even cure their ailments. It was a world where the divine mingled with the diabolical, each relic and ritual a testament to the enduring power of belief. Mediterranean defenses against envy. The fear of the evil eye was not unique to Europe. It stretched across continents, finding expression in diverse forms. In the Mediterranean, particularly in Greece and southern Italy, the belief in the mati, the evil eye, was so pervasive that it shaped social interactions. A compliment given too freely could be suspect. As envy was thought to carry a malevolent force. To counteract this, mothers would tie red threads around their children's wrists or pin small charms to their clothing, believing these tokens could deflect the gaze of jealousy. In Turkey, the nazar boncuğu, a blue and white glass bead resembling an eye, became a ubiquitous symbol of protection, adorning homes, vehicles, and even newborn cribs. These amulets were not mere decorations, but active shields, believed to absorb and neutralize the harmful energy of envy. The universality of this belief speaks to a shared, human anxiety, the fear that success or beauty might invite destruction from unseen forces. Balkan wards and rituals. In the Balkans, the evil eye took on a particularly vivid form. In Albania and Kosovo, households would hang garlic bulbs or dried chilies above doorways, believing their pungent odor could repel malevolent spirits. In Serbia, a ritual known as urokljivo involved passing a child through a hoop made of braided herbs to cleanse them of any curse. These practices were not isolated but part of a broader cultural tapestry where the evil eye was seen as a constant threat, its influence countered by a blend of Christian and pre-Christian rituals. Even today, in rural Balkan villages, a grandmother might spit lightly on a child's forehead, whispering prayers to ward off envy, a gesture that bridges centuries of tradition. The Middle East, jinn and sacred fires. The Middle East, jinn and sacred fires. Far to the east, in the ancient lands of Persia and the Middle East, the unseen world was populated by beings both fearsome and capricious. Here, the jinn, creatures forged from smokeless fire, wandered invisibly among men, capable of both bestowing blessings and exacting mischief. In those sun-baked deserts and bustling bazaars, A careless whistle in the twilight could summon a jinn, and an unexpected knock on an uninvited spirit's door might bring calamity. In these cultures, even the number 13 carried its own peril. It was a day to be shunned, a time when the rhythms of celebration and sorrow were guided by ancient omens. Zoroastrian teachings permeated daily life, urging people to guard against spiritual pollution and to respect the sanctity of natural elements. Small acts, a properly buried lock of hair, the careful disposal of nail clippings, or the ritual cleansing of home and body, were all part of a larger strategy to ward off evil. In these ancient traditions, fire itself was revered as a living, protective force. A lamp left burning in the dark was a guardian against the encroaching shadows, a silent testament to faith in the power of light over darkness. Fire and divination in the Levant. In the Levant, the ancient practice of reading coffee grounds, known as tasseography, remains a potent form of divination. After drinking thick aromatic coffee, the remaining grounds are swirled in the cup and interpreted for signs of the future. A shape resembling a bird might foretell good news, while a jagged line could warn of conflict. This practice, shared across cultures from Lebanon to Jordan, is not merely a parlor game, but a ritual that connects the living to the unseen, offering glimpses of fate in the mundane act of drinking coffee. Similarly, in Armenia, the burning of specific herbs during funerals is believed to guide the soul of the deceased, ensuring it finds peace and does not linger to haunt the living. A tapestry of superstition. Asia, numbers, spirits, and harmony. In the vast, varied expanse of Asia, traditions of superstition are as ancient as the civilizations that flourished along the great rivers and mountain ranges. In China, numbers carry profound symbolic weight, dictating how homes are built and lives are lived. The number 8 resonates with prosperity and success, echoing through the lanes of modern cities, where entire neighborhoods are shaped by its auspices. In stark contrast, the number 4, its name echoing the sound of death in the local tongue, is shunned with a kind of quiet dread. Buildings skip floors, and families plan their lives around its ominous implications. Ghost Month, a time of heightened spirits and spectral activity, sees streets emptied at dusk as people avoid the roads, fearful of wandering souls hungry for remembrance and reverence. Feng Shui, that age-old practice of harmonizing human living with the forces of nature, dictates every detail of one's environment, from the placement of furniture to the alignment of doors and windows. A misaligned object might block the flow of energy, inviting chaos in subtle but profound ways. In Japan, the supernatural is not something confined to grim tragedies. It is woven into the very fabric of daily existence. Yurei, the restless spirits of those who met untimely or violent ends, drift silently through misty cemeteries and fog-laden streets. Their presence is felt in the lingering sadness of an old tale, in the delicate, sorrowful notes of a traditional song, and in the quiet prayers of those who hope to offer them peace. The culture imbues even harmless actions with deeper meaning. The careless placement of chopsticks, the inclination to bow deeply before a sacred monument, or the ancient practice of tying small cloth charms to one's wrist. All these gestures are reminders of an intricate dance with fate and fortune. Southeast Asia, spirits and ancestor worship. In Southeast Asia, the superstitions of Thailand and Vietnam add further layers to this intricate tapestry. In Thailand, the belief in Phi ghosts and spirits permeates daily life. Houses are built with spirit houses, small shrines placed in the corner of a property to appease local spirits displaced by human construction. Offerings of food, flowers, and incense are left daily to ensure harmony, as an angered spirit might bring illness or financial ruin. In Vietnam, the practice of ancestor worship is central, with altars in every home dedicated to the deceased. During the Lunar New Year, families perform rituals to honor their ancestors, believing that their spirits influence the fortunes of the living. A poorly maintained altar or a forgotten offering could invite bad luck, while a well-tended one ensures protection and prosperity. These practices reflect a worldview where the living and the dead coexist, their interactions governed by rituals that maintain a delicate balance. The Philippines, a syncretic blend. In the Philippines, superstitions blend indigenous beliefs with Spanish colonial influences. The aswang, a shape-shifting creature, has a feared figure in folklore, believed to prey on the unwary at night. To protect against it, households hang garlic or place salt at doorways, much like European traditions. During weddings, brides avoid trying on their dresses before the ceremony, fearing it might curse the marriage. The number 13 is also avoided, with some families refusing to seat 13 guests at a table, a practice that echoes Western superstitions but is infused with local flavor. These beliefs highlight the Philippines' unique cultural synthesis, where global influences merge with indigenous spirituality. The Indian subcontinent, celestial and earthly bonds. The Indian subcontinent offers its own vibrant tableau of superstition, where the celestial and the earthly are bound together by a complex web of rituals and omens. Astrology is more than a curiosity. It is a guide that informs decisions from the mundane to the monumental. When planets align or diverge, it is believed that destinies shift. Marriages are delayed and fortunes are made or lost. The Nazar Batu, a simple charm drawn on a child's face, is a potent protective emblem against the malicious glare of envy. Rituals at weddings, births, and even funerals are carried out with meticulous attention to tradition. A misplaced step or a mispronounced prayer might invite misfortune that echoes through the family lineage. In daily routines, the sacred and the profane intermingle seamlessly. Homes are adorned with marigold garlands and blessed with incense, while at street corners, vendors sell tiny statues and rudimentary charms believed to ward off evil. The symbolism is omnipresent. The vibrant red of a sari, the shimmer of gold jewelry, the sanctity of a temple. Bell all serve to underscore a collective belief in forces that extend beyond the visible world. South India symbols and omens. In South India, the Dravidian traditions add further depth to these beliefs. The practice of tying a Mangal Sutra, a sacred necklace around a bride's neck, is not merely a symbol of marriage, but a protective talisman, believed to shield the couple from harm. Similarly, the application of kumkum, a red vermilion powder on the forehead, is both a mark of blessing and a ward against evil. In rural areas, the sighting of certain birds, like the crow, is laden with meaning. A crow cawing on the left side of the house might signal the arrival of guests, while one on the right could foretell misfortune. These omens are taken seriously, with families adjusting their plans based on such signs. The belief in drishti, the evil eye, is so strong that rituals to remove it, involving the circling of salt and chilies around a person's head, are common in households and even urban settings. Fire rituals across Asia. The reverence for fire, a recurring motif in Asian superstitions, finds echoes in the Vedic traditions of India, where Havan fire rituals are central to spiritual life. In these ceremonies, priests offer ghee, herbs, and wood into a consecrated fire, believing it to be a conduit to the divine. The smoke rising from the flames is thought to carry prayers to the heavens, while the fire itself purifies the surroundings, banishing malevolent spirits. Even today in rural Indian villages, a small oil lamp is lit at dusk to ward off the darkness and its associated dangers. These rituals, steeped in millennia of tradition, reflect a profound belief in the interplay between the physical and spiritual worlds, where fire serves as both protector and intermediary. Central Asia, steppes and sacred cairns. In Central Asia, among the nomadic peoples of Mongolia and Kazakhstan, superstitions are tied to the vast steppes and the rhythms of herding life. The dombra, a traditional stringed instrument, is believed to carry spiritual power, and playing it at certain times, such as during a full moon, can ward off evil spirits. The act of crossing a threshold is laden with meaning. Stepping over it with the right foot first is essential to avoid inviting bad luck. In Mongolia, the ovo, a sacred cairn of stones, is a focal point for offerings and prayers, believed to connect the living with the spirits of the land. Travelers add a stone to the ovo for safe passage, a ritual that reinforces the bond between humans and the spiritual landscape. Africa, ancestors and sacred connections. Across the vast continent of Africa, superstition intertwines with ancestral reverence and the enduring traditions of indigenous life. In many communities, the spirit of an ancestor is never truly gone. It lingers in the winds, speaks through the rustling of trees, and watches over the living. Dreams become sacred narratives, interpreted by wise elders and trusted diviners as messages from a realm beyond our own. The phenomenon of spirit. Possession is not seen as madness, but as a profound connection to the divine, where an individual becomes a vessel for the collective memories and grievances of those who have passed on. In the villages of West Africa, the presence of a skilled witch doctor or diviner is both a comfort and a source of awe. These practitioners use a combination of ancient herbal lore, rhythmic incantations, and symbolic gestures to balance the forces of nature and man. When tragedy struck or misfortune loomed, it was the duty of these guardians to diagnose a curse, perform a cleansing ritual, or appease a vengeful spirit. The belief in curses was so deeply embedded that a single, malicious word could set a chain of events into motion, one that might result in a family's ruin, or even the isolation of an entire community. Objects, such as carved amulets or ritualistic bracelets, were imbued with protective energies, measures taken not only for personal safety, but as an offering to the ancestors, who watched over each new generation. East African omens and rituals. In East Africa, among the Maasai and other pastoralist communities, superstitions are deeply tied to the rhythms of the natural world. The appearance of certain animals, like a hyena crossing one's path at dawn, is seen as an ill omen, signaling potential danger or loss. To counteract such signs, elders might perform a ritual involving the sacrifice of a goat, its blood offered to appease the spirits and restore balance. The Maasai also believe in the power of spoken blessings and curses, where words carry tangible weight. A blessing from an elder can ensure a successful journey, while a curse, even if spoken in jest, might require elaborate rituals to undo. These practices underscore the belief that human actions are never isolated. They ripple through the spiritual and natural worlds, demanding constant vigilance and respect. Southern Africa, shadows and sangomas. In Southern Africa, among the Zulu, the concept of isithunzi, a person's shadow or spiritual essence, is central to superstitious beliefs. To step on someone's shadow is to disrespect their spirit, potentially inviting misfortune. When a person dies, their shadow is believed to linger, and rituals must be performed to guide it to the ancestral realm. The Zulu also place great importance on the sangoma, a traditional healer who communicates with ancestors through dreams and divination. Using bones, shells, or stones, the sangoma reads signs to diagnose ailments or curses, prescribing rituals that might involve animal sacrifices or the wearing of specific charms. These practices reflect a worldview where the living, the dead, and the natural world are interconnected, each influencing the other in a delicate balance. The New World, nature, spirits, and syncretism. In the New World, the tapestry of superstition is equally intricate and layered, influenced by ancient native traditions, as well as the legacies of colonization and migration. Among Native American tribes, the spiritual connection to nature is not a metaphor but a living, breathing reality. Every river, mountain, and forest is imbued with a sacred significance, and the traditions of oral history ensure that the wisdom of generations endures. The idea of spirit animals, guardians that guide and protect, remains a cornerstone of indigenous culture. Whistling in the wind, naming the unseen, or ignoring a sacred site is believed to provoke the wrath of these ever-watchful forces. In the Caribbean and parts of Latin America, African diasporic religions such as Voodoo and Santeria have taken root, blending indigenous elements with African rituals and Catholic symbolism. In these traditions, dolls are imbued with life and purpose, not merely as playthings but as vessels of spiritual power. Practitioners mix herbs and powders into potent brews, creating charms that promise both healing and retribution. A careful chant or the precise arrangement of candles can summon the benevolence of a saint or the ire of a wronged spirit. Across North America, modern superstitions have taken on new forms. In the concrete jungles of sprawling cities, office workers and athletes alike cling to their lucky charms. Whether it's a specific pair of socks, a ritualistic pre-game meal, or a superstition as trivial as not stepping on cracks in the sidewalk. Even architecture is touched by these age-old beliefs. Buildings may deliberately omit a 13th floor, and hotel rooms bearing ominous numbers are bypassed by travelers who prefer a touch of reassurance from fate. Latin America, Days of the Dead and Protective Charms. In Latin America, the influence of indigenous and African traditions creates a rich mosaic of superstitious practices. In Mexico, the Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, is a vibrant celebration that honors the deceased, blending Catholic and pre-Columbian beliefs. Families construct altars or ofrendas adorned with marigolds, candles, and the favorite foods of the departed, believing that their spirits return to partake in the offerings. The marigold, known as the flower of the dead, is thought to guide spirits with its vibrant color and scent. In Brazil, the practice of macumba, a syncretic religion, incorporates rituals to appease spirits and protect against curses. A common practice is the use of figas, small hand-shaped amulets, to ward off the evil eye. These traditions highlight the blending of cultures, where ancient beliefs adapt to new contexts while retaining their spiritual potency. Andean reverence for Pachamama. In the Andes, among the Quechua and Aymara peoples, superstitions are deeply tied to the worship of Pachamama, the Earth Mother. Before planting crops or embarking on a journey, offerings of coca leaves, alcohol, or small figurines are buried in the ground to honor her and ensure her favor. The sighting of a condor, a sacred bird, is considered a powerful omen, often signaling divine approval or warning of change. These rituals reflect a worldview where the earth is a living entity, and human survival depends on maintaining harmony with its spirits. In urban centers like La Paz, Bolivia, Market Selekeku, figurines, small statues of a deity of abundance believed to bring prosperity if adorned with miniature goods, like money or food. Oceania, Dreamtime and Oceanic Spirits. Oceania, Dreamtime and Oceanic Spirits. In the sun-washed expanses of Oceania, belief in the mystical often flows as freely as the wind. Among the Aboriginal peoples of Australia, the Dreamtime is not simply a myth, but the foundational reality, a time when ancestral beings roamed the land, forming the natural world with their actions. Sacred sites, ancient rock paintings, and hidden waterholes are not mere relics of the past. They are living testimonies to a culture that sees every tree and stone as a keeper of memory. Taboos are observed with unwavering reverence, for to violate them is to disturb the ancestral spirit that binds community and land together. Even in modern Polynesia, the traditions persist. The mana of a revered chief, for instance, is believed to be so potent that even his shadow commands respect. Rituals, tattoos, and chants serve as a bridge between generations, reinforcing the belief that the physical and the spiritual are in constant dialogue. In this part of the world, nature itself is the canvas upon which legends are painted. The sound of the surf, the call of exotic birds, the patterns of clouds overhead all weave into the rich mythos that underpins everyday life. Pacific Islands, ocean, and ancestral guardians. In the Pacific Islands, such as Fiji and Samoa, superstitions often revolve around the ocean. A life-giving yet unpredictable force, fishermen perform rituals before setting out to sea, offering prayers to appease the spirits of the deep. A sudden change in the wind or an unusual wave pattern might be interpreted as a warning from ancestral spirits, prompting a return to shore. Tattoos, a sacred art form in Polynesian culture, are not merely decorative, but imbued with spiritual significance, believed to protect the wearer from harm and connect them to their ancestors. These practices underscore the deep respect for the natural world, where every element is seen as alive and communicative. Hawaii, the wrath of Pele. The persistence of superstition in the Pacific extends to modern contexts. In Hawaii, the belief in Pele, the volcano goddess, remains strong. Visitors are warned not to take lava rocks from her domain, as doing so is believed to invite her wrath. Manifesting as bad luck or illness, stories abound of tourists who, after taking rocks, experienced misfortunes and returned them by mail, accompanied by apologetic letters. This blend of ancient reverence and modern tourism highlights how superstitions adapt, bridging the gap between sacred tradition and contemporary life. Eastern Europe, Slavic shadows and silent rituals. In Eastern Europe, Slavic folklore weaves a rich tapestry of beliefs that continue to shape daily life. In Russia, the act of sitting in silence before a journey is a common ritual believed to ensure safe travels by appeasing the spirits of the road. Spitting over the left shoulder 3 times is another widespread practice, thought to ward off bad luck after mentioning something unfortunate. In Poland, the belief in urok, the evil eye, mirrors Mediterranean traditions, with red ribbons tied to children's clothing to deflect harm. These practices, rooted in centuries of folklore, persist even in urban centers, where modernity and tradition coexist in uneasy harmony. The Arctic, spirits in the sky. In the Arctic regions, among the Inuit and other indigenous peoples, superstitions are shaped by the harsh realities of their environment. The aurora borealis, or northern lights, is often seen as a manifestation of ancestral spirits, and certain behaviors, such as whistling at the lights, are avoided to prevent angering them. Tools and clothing are treated with reverence, as they are believed to carry the spirit of their maker or user. A broken tool might be buried rather than discarded, to honor its spirit and prevent misfortune. These beliefs underscore the deep connection between the Inuit and their environment, where survival depends on maintaining harmony with both the natural and spiritual worlds. The modern world and a timeless dance with fate. Even as the march of modernity brings technological marvels and scientific discoveries, the echoes of superstition remain stubbornly present. In a world where data and algorithms increasingly shape our decisions, the human heart still finds comfort in ancient rituals. Studies in neuroscience and psychology reveal that our brains are wired to detect patterns, to connect disparate events into coherent narratives, even when these connections are nothing more than coincidences. That impulse to make sense of chaos is what fuels superstition. It is why a lucky charm can bring solace in times of uncertainty, and why the ritual of knocking on wood or crossing one's fingers is performed with the same fervor as it was centuries ago. Whether it is in the rigorous routines of professional athletes, the carefully curated habits of corporate leaders, or the simple, enduring gestures of everyday people, superstition acts as a silent partner in our dance with destiny. It reminds us that beyond the flickering screens and hum of modern machines, there is an ancient pulse, a whisper of the past that continues to guide our steps, even if we dare not fully admit it. The psychology of belief. The psychological roots of superstition lie in our need for control in an unpredictable world. The illusion of control, as psychologists call it, allows us to feel that our actions can influence outcomes even when they cannot. This is why a baseball player might wear the same unwashed socks during a winning streak, or why a student might carry a lucky pen to an exam. These rituals, however irrational, provide a sense of agency, a bulwark against the randomness of life. Anthropologists argue that superstitions also serve a social function, binding communities through shared beliefs and practices. In times of crisis, such as a drought or a plague, collective rituals, whether a village dance to summon rain or a communal prayer to ward off disease, reinforce solidarity and hope. Even in modern societies, superstitions persist in subtle ways. The stock trader who avoids making deals on Friday the 13th, the bride who insists on something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, or the traveler who tosses a coin into a fountain for luck, all are participating in a timeless tradition of seeking to influence fate. Digital superstitions and global blends. In modern contexts, superstitions have adapted to new technologies and lifestyles. In the digital age, Some believe that forwarding a chain email or sharing a specific post on social media can bring good luck or ward off curses, echoing the chain letters of the past. Gamers might perform rituals before a match, such as tapping a controller in a specific sequence to ensure victory. Even in the realm of science, where rationality reigns, researchers have been known to adopt superstitious habits, avoiding certain lab equipment on unlucky days or naming experiments in ways that invoke good fortune. These modern manifestations show that superstition is not a relic but a dynamic force, evolving with human culture while retaining its core function, to provide comfort and meaning in the face of uncertainty. The globalized world has also led to a blending of superstitions. In diaspora communities, such as Chinese immigrants in North America, traditional practices like burning incense for ancestors coexist with Western superstitions like avoiding the number 13. In multicultural cities, you might find a Hindu family performing a puja to bless a new home while also hanging a horseshoe above the door, a nod to European folklore. This fusion of beliefs reflects the adaptability of superstition, its ability to transcend borders and evolve with human migration, a timeless dance with fate. The global tapestry of superstition is vast and varied, yet certain themes emerge across cultures: the fear of the unknown, the desire for protection, and the need to influence fate are universal human impulses. Whether it's a medieval peasant tossing salt over their shoulder, a Maasai elder sacrificing a goat, or a Silicon Valley tech worker carrying a lucky charm, these acts are rooted in the same psychological and cultural currents. Superstitions are not merely quirks or relics. They are a testament to humanity's enduring quest to find meaning in a chaotic world. They remind us that no matter how advanced our technology or sophisticated our societies, we are still bound to the ancient rhythms of belief, fear, and hope. The evolution of belief. The evolution of superstition reflects humanity's changing relationship with the world. In ancient times, when survival depended on understanding the whims of nature, superstitions provided a framework for interpreting signs and influencing outcomes. A storm might be seen as the anger of a god, a bountiful harvest as a divine reward. As societies grew more complex, superstitions adapted, incorporating new symbols and contexts. The rise of monotheistic religions in Europe and the Middle East reframed many pagan beliefs, casting them as heretical yet absorbing their rituals into new forms. The Enlightenment, with its emphasis on reason, sought to banish superstition, yet it persisted, finding new expressions in urban legends and personal rituals. Today, in an era of artificial intelligence and global connectivity, superstitions continue to thrive, albeit in subtler forms. The CEO who avoids scheduling a product launch on an inauspicious date, the programmer who names a project after a lucky number, or the influencer who avoids posting during a Mercury retrograde, are all heirs to an ancient tradition of seeking control over the uncontrollable. Superstition and cultural identity. Superstition also plays a role in collective identity, shaping cultural narratives and traditions. In Ireland, the belief in fairies, known as the Sidhe, persists in rural areas, where certain trees or mounds are left, undisturbed to avoid offending these capricious beings. In Iceland, the Huldufolk, hidden people, are believed to inhabit rocks and hills, and construction projects may be altered to avoid their dwellings. These beliefs are not merely quaint. They reinforce a sense of cultural continuity, tying modern communities to their ancestral roots. Similarly, in African American communities, the tradition of jumping the broom at weddings, rooted in slavery-era rituals, carries both cultural and spiritual significance. Believed to bring blessings to the union, the interplay of faith and superstition. The interplay between superstition and religion is another fascinating dimension. In many cultures, the line between the two is blurred, with religious rituals incorporating superstitious elements. In Catholicism, the use of holy water or the wearing of scapulars is imbued with protective power, not unlike secular charms. In Buddhism, the spinning of prayer wheels or the tying of prayer flags is believed to send blessings into the world, influencing spiritual and material outcomes. These practices highlight the fluidity of belief, where superstition and faith coexist, each reinforcing the other in the human quest for meaning. The science of superstition. The persistence of superstition in the face of scientific progress raises intriguing questions about human nature. Why do we cling to beliefs that defy logic? Cognitive science suggests that our brains are primed for apophenia, the tendency to see patterns where none exist. This trait, while sometimes leading to false conclusions, has evolutionary advantages, helping our ancestors identify threats or opportunities in a dangerous world. Superstitions, then, are not a flaw but a feature of human cognition, a way to impose order on chaos. They also serve as a form of emotional regulation, reducing anxiety in uncertain situations. The act of performing a ritual, however small, can lower cortisol levels, providing a sense of calm and control. A timeless dance with fate. Perhaps then, the next time you catch a glimpse of a broken mirror or feel a sudden chill on an otherwise calm night, you will pause and wonder at the ancient dance of fate and belief. For every ritual and every charm is a silent conversation with time itself, a conversation that spans continents and millennia, reminding us that in the face of uncertainty, sometimes the simplest acts of faith can light the way through the darkness. And so, as the final notes of our tale fade into the quiet hum of the night, take a moment to listen to the whispers of the past, the echoes of forgotten wisdom, and the enduring power of belief that continues to shape our lives. In every shadow, in every fleeting glimpse of the uncanny, there is a story waiting to be told, a mystery waiting to be unraveled. And in that moment, you are not alone. You are part of an ancient, unbroken chain that spans generations, linking our hopes, our fears, and our timeless quest for understanding in a universe filled with wonder. As you close your eyes tonight, let these stories linger in your mind, a quiet reminder that no matter how far we travel or how much we learn, the magic of our ancestors still dances in the spaces between our everyday moments, offering both comfort and challenge in the face of life's endless uncertainties.